Welcome. My name is Brandon. Please join me on this tour of Faneuil Hall in Quincy Market in Boston, Massachusetts. You may be thinking, hey, this has nothing to do with dead malls. And you're right, it doesn't. I wanted to share something personal. My first vacation outside of the Midwest since 2019. Several people have already discussed the histories of these famous buildings, including actual historians, so I will keep my history brief. Faneuil Hall opened in 1743 and was the site of several speeches encouraging independence from England. One of the speakers was Samuel Adams, which may explain why the Sam Adams Brewery built a tap room right next door. Behind Faneuil Hall, Quincy Market was built in 1825 to aid in the commercial growth that Faneuil Hall could no longer handle by itself. Quincy was used as the 19th century version of a grocery store. As I said, I will leave the rest of these buildings' stories to real historians and share my personal anecdotes. A number of you watch my videos because you either live in Minnesota, or you like our malls, or my perspective on them. So I thought I would share my perspective on Boston. You want to know what I really think about Boston? I did not want to go home. I loved my week in Boston. The first 2 days, my wife and I walked to the art museums and Faneuil Hall to get a layout of the city. But by the third day, we started taking the T. I never felt in danger at any time due to the amount of people everywhere in Boston. The T even connected to a mall that connected to our hotel at Copley Place. How convenient. While Faneuil Hall has historical significance, there was not a lot that we wanted to see there, so I didn't capture much footage. I also thought all of the food was in Faneuil, so I was rushing to get to it. However, that food was in the Quincy Market. I was overwhelmed by the selection. I wanted to try everything. But I was here for the seafood. It's Boston, right? I bought lobster bisque and lobster chowder. Oh, it was so good. We only ate bisque and chowder at Quincy Market as we were on our way to Boston Sail Loft, where I enjoyed my first Boston lobster roll, and it was fantastic. One thing that shocked me was the high prices of seafood. I had in my head that seafood is local and should be cheaper here, as it doesn't have to be shipped halfway across the country. My wife isn't crazy about seafood, so we ate at a lot of Italian restaurants the rest of the week. I compromised one night between Italian and seafood by ordering a clam pizza. Oh, it was amazing. Another thing that stuck out to me in Boston was the coffee. At least 3 places within a block of our hotel were fancy. Jaho, Cafe Nero, and Cafe Vergnano. I normally consider a place with real macchiatos fancy, but these even had ristrettos on the menu. I just love drinking out of a tiny cup sometimes. My wife and I also visited the Sam Adams Brewery. We went for a tasting experience where they let us into their cellar, and gave us 3 kinds of rare beer and 2 kinds of cheese. Oh, so good. They had barrels upon barrels of rare beer in the cellar. If you are a Minnesotan, you may be shocked to learn how many breweries we have. According to Google Maps, Boston has about a dozen breweries with a Boston address, and about 20 total if you include nearby towns. Minneapolis and St. Paul combined have nearly 40 breweries. I mention this because I've been told my whole life by popular television that we're backwards here in the Midwest. So I assumed if we have 40 breweries, then bigger cities should have 80 or 100, right? Turns out we just love our breweries in Minnesota. Oh, and Wisconsin and Iowa too. Sorry, North and South Dakota, I have not been to your states enough to check out your beer scene, but I hope to remedy that in the next year or two. Man, it was tough coming home. I love the go, go, go energy of Boston, impatiently waiting for a walk sign, and then giving up like all the locals to cross the street. Good restaurants everywhere. Easy transportation. I loved it. It was weird going to downtown Minneapolis afterward and realizing I could not jaywalk as the streets were just too wide. Also, people from the East Coast are supposed to be rude, but nobody was mean to me. My wife even broke out of her Midwestern shell by the second day and told a group of tourists to stop blocking the sidewalk. Thank you for listening to my rambling about my love of Boston. You might ask, if I love it so much, why don't I move there? Since I've been sharing a lot of personal information, I will say that I have been debating moving to the East Coast for a couple of years now, but I have family here in Minnesota. This brings me to my next point. I sincerely thank all of you who watch my videos, and an even bigger thank you to those of you who subscribe. If I had left Minnesota, some of the malls on my channel would have never been recorded. I have been fortunate to find enough malls near the Twin Cities that I can visit and then return by dinner. However, I am going to run out of day trip malls by 2022, so I hope if you like my content and are not subscribing, to please do so. I do not have a Patreon, but if you would like to help pay for future trips, please consider a tip to my Ko-fi account. I plan to start saving up money to take overnight trips to Iowa, Wisconsin, and the Dakotas to visit malls that have never been filmed. Thanks again. I am returning to dead malls in my next video. I hope you have a good day. Take care.